The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 is a 7.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display with 2176 x 1812 resolution, where the Z Fold 3 screen was 2208 x 1768 resolution. It's a nominal change that's mostly due to the updated chassis. It also supports an adaptive refresh rate of 1 to 120 Hz. The low end of the range is useful for saving battery life by not refreshing the screen when it's not needed, while the high end means smoother gameplay and video action. The defining feature of this screen is of course that it folds, and Samsung has done some re-engineering here. Under the strengthened ultra-thin flexible glass, Samsung has removed a metal plate which helps to make the phone thinner and lighter, and replaced it with a strong mesh that's not stuff. What you can see and feel though is the crease. It shows up when the screen is dark, and if you run your finger across the screen you will feel it too. Generally it's unnoticeable when watching video, but you might occasionally detect a slightly darker band running through your Netflix selection. There is a camera on this main display, but it's easily hidden by a tiny disk of pixels that the phone can turn on and off. When it's time to use the camera, the punch-out hole suddenly appears, highlighted by an illuminated ring like the crease. You usually won't even notice this little circle when it's not illuminated, but on some brighter images and scenes, it can be visible. Overall, this is still an excellent screen with all the real estate you need to do everything from taking pictures to putting the device in flex mode, basically bent into an L shape, which lets you use one half as a keyboard and the other as your screen laptop style. The cover screen has also gotten an upgrade. It's still a 6.2-inch dynamic AMOLED screen with a 2316 x 904 resolution compared to the Z Fold 3's 2268 x 832 resolution, but now it's 2.7mm wider than the cover screen on the Galaxy Z Fold 3. It also has an adaptive refresh rate, though in this case it's 48 Hz to 120 Hz. Samsung clearly believes it has a pretty good foundational structure for its premier folding device, and that's why the Z Fold 4 isn't radically different from the Galaxy Z Fold 3. That said, there are actually lots of small build and design differences, some of which you can plainly see while others are hidden beneath the frame. Folded, the device is still 67.1mm wide, but the shape of the product has changed so that from certain angles the hinge is less noticeable. The handset is 155.1mm long, which is almost 3mm shorter than the Z Fold 3. This gives the device a more conventional phone shape rather than the odd-looking oblong shape of previous folds. More importantly, this is now a thinner and lighter device. Instead of the Galaxy Z Fold 3's 6.4mm thickness when unfolded, the double mode is now just 6.3mm thick. That's not a huge difference, but it also brings the weight down to 263 grams, 8 grams lighter than the Galaxy Z Fold 3. The buttons or ports are standard fare for a smartphone, but the folding design does mean the placement isn't typical. There is the SIM slot along the top edge, speaker and mic holes along one edge, a speaker grill, mic hole and USB-C port along the bottom, and on the other edge a volume rocker and power and sleep button that doubles as your fingerprint sensors, which happens to work quite nicely. I registered multiple fingers. The phone also supports Face ID biometrics, but you are warned that it's less secure than other methods. When folded, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 can feel a little thick and heavy in the hand compared to most other Android handsets. It's not uncomfortable though. Unfolded, this is a thin and light tablet. The main noticeable difference between it and, say, an iPad mini is that the bezel surrounding the screen has a tiny raised lip to keep the bendable screen covering in place and protected. The re-engineered hinge is a real highlight here. No longer does it stick out from the side of the phone when folded. Instead, it's hugging the frame thanks to a new hinge design that jettisoned the gears in favor of a flatter mechanical design. It looks great, and at least in the time we have been using this phone, it works smoothly. As you are bending the phone, it feels solid yet pliant, as if to reassure you, yes, this is what you are supposed to do with me. The frame is IPX8 rated, which means it will survive 30 minutes in 1 meter of water, but due to the hinge mechanics, it's not dust resistant. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, feel free to share it with your friends and keep watching Best Buy to get your top-notch day-to-day commodities.